Okay, so let's begin orienting joints. The first thing you'll want to know when you're orienting joints is MyAble can do a lot of this for you if you set up your joint hierarchy the right way. And this is our joint hierarchy over here. So basically, each of these, the parent joint, so say like this joint here, and we want to switch our translate so that you can visualize this easier to local. And we want to, actually we want to change it to object, sorry. We want to change our move tool to the move axis to object, okay? And we want the x-axis, the red handle, to point to its child. So point spine 2, right now the red handle is pointing straight up in space. That's not good. We want it to point to spine 3, okay? Now, and we want spine 3 to point straight up to the neck. But right now, it's hard to see. Let me make my manipulator bigger. Oh, other way. So you can see that the red handle over here is pointing kind of down to the shoulder. We don't want that either. Now, in order to get Maya to take care of this part for us, we need to change our hierarchy around a little bit. And basically, a parent joint will orient itself to its first child. And this will make sense here, hopefully make more sense here in just a second. So I'm going to unparent the shoulder from the spine 3. And then I'll parent it right back to spine 3 again. But now the neck comes first. And that was what we wanted. Okay. Now I'm going to select all my joints except for the cog. Do it this way. And I'm going to tell them to orient. And so we have a joint orient tool. Let me minimize this for now. I'm going to go to skeleton, orient joint, option box. And there's a few things in here. Okay. So we don't want to have the orient joint to world select checked. We don't want that. We want the primary axis to be X. And that means that this red handle is going to point to its child joint. Okay. And then the secondary axis is going to be Y, and that's going to try to point to so the secondary axis, the Y handle, because that's what we have selected here, is going to try to point a certain direction of the world orientation. Okay, so the world is this right here. This is the world's orientation down here in the bottom left of your screen. If you don't have this showing right there, then you need to go to Display, Heads-Up Display, View Axes. Okay, so I just deselected mine, but you want that. Okay. So I've got the Y axis of the joint. It's going to try to point to the Y axis of the world the best it can. But its first and its largest responsibility, or greatest responsibility, is to make sure the X points to its child. And I know this is really, I don't mean for this to be difficult, it just kind of is abstract. Anyway, I don't want the orient children of selected joints. We just want to do it based off of our selection. And orient the local scale axes. Yes, we'll have that selected. and then we'll click Orient. Okay, so we saw these joints shift a little bit when that happened. And now, if I select the spine 3 joint, it's pointing straight to its child. In fact, it's kind of hard to see, but there it is. It's pointing straight to its child. And if I were to select this joint, it points to its child. If I were to select this joint, it points to its child, so on and so forth. Now you have root joint, or you have tip joints is what I call them. And the tip joints, they don't have children, and so they can't orient. Well, I call them tip joints because we don't really care where they point. They're just there to help us later on when we're doing skinning, and after we've started doing our skinning, we can actually delete those joints. We won't need them. Okay. So we check the leg out. X is pointed straight down to the knee. On the knee, it's pointed to the ankle, and I have no reason to disbelieve that the rest are all the same. Okay. Now, all of our joints are oriented at what appears to be correctly. So I'm going to hide geometry, and we want to view the orientation of these joints in component mode. So if I were to select this joint, the root joint, and then go to component mode by pressing F8 on my keyboard, then I want to select this question mark, and what this is called your status line. If I select that question mark, I can see basically what the move manipulator would look like for all of these joints. Okay? It's a hairy, scary kind of view, I guess. Anyway, the main thing that we want to check while we're in here is we want to make sure that the y-axis for each part of the body, so the green handle, is all pointed the same direction. So like on the hip, Y is pointed towards the front of the body, but on the knee, Y is pointed towards the back of the body. That's not what we want. Okay, we need all the Y's to be pointed towards the front of the body, or up. Okay, so I can select this, rotate axes, and I can type in a little tiny script. Don't be scared. It's really simple. And we want to rotate it. We're going to type rotate space -R space, and then we have to give it 3 different rotation numbers, and we want to rotate it on X 180 degrees, and then 0 on Y and 0 on Z. And then we want to enter a semicolon, then press enter. And now Y points towards the front of the body. That's just what we wanted. Okay. Now we need to check the spine and make sure that the spine is all the same also. And the arm, it too should all be the same. Now we've got one of these that's out of whack, but that's going to be our cog. Okay. Because it has 2 children, but both of those children are directly at the exact same location as the cog joint is. So that's why it looks wacky right there. But anyway, so that we have completed the orientation of these joints. So let me verify just real quick. So the spine and the neck are all pointed with Y forward. That's good. And these tip joints we're not concerned about. So it looks like everything